Hey, there you are. It's James, not Freddie. And, admittedly, when I do these, a lot of the time, especially when I have a lot to talk about, or I have a fair amount to talk about, I have a list. Now, this time I come woefully underprepared, but I think I get the general gist of what I was trying to get across. As the football season has crossed over into probably my second favorite time of year, which is motorsports season, which is all year except for the end of the year. So we've gotten successfully into the NASCAR season, got a couple races under our belt, and we also got NFL news. And of course we have basketball news. I think we're going to start with the football news because there is far less of it. We have all of the coaching and we're just getting ready for the draft. I think the only thing that hit that was, other than the tragic passing of Rondell Moore, obviously like everyone else, prayers to his family and friends and the team and everyone who was close to him and got to get to know him. I've heard and I've read about plenty of stories about him, and it's always tragic to see someone so younger than me, especially. As you get older, you start to see people younger than you start to pass away and things like that, and it's easier to hear, and it almost is a little bit more spooky and eerie, and it makes me ever so thankful that admittedly I don't have it as difficult as a lot of people, but I also had it difficult in my own right, and I'm thankful I was able to find peace and get to the point in my life to where I don't feel like I have a ton of demons over my shoulder. And for anybody who might be going through any of that, of course, there's a lot of helplines and a lot of help around you. There's a lot of people who most definitely don't want to see you there's a lot of people who don't want to see you struggle and see you go through the things that you are. So there's always going to be people who want to help, and like I like to tell people who have a lot of problems and who are going through a lot, who feel completely helpless, at the end of the day, there's people who will want to help you, who want to see you on the other side, and who want to see you with that smile and bringing the energy, the positive energy that every human emits. I feel like there's not a human in this world that doesn't have some form of positive energy somewhere inside of them, no matter how beat up and broken they are. It just takes asking and finding the help and striving for the help. But on to more positive things. Actually, let's go with the more comedic things. There are two stadiums that remain in the NFL that are original stadiums. I believe they are Lambeau Field and Soldier Field. The latter of which, interesting discussion of topic. You wouldn't think that a team that's been in the same stadium since 1921, admittedly the renovations that happened a little bit over a decade ago, took seating capacity down to replace them with owners' boxes because of money. And ever since then, it also took it off the name of national monuments because stadiums like that, there's only two of them left. It's built in 1921, and the Chicago Bears have been there ever since. In 2023, the Chicago Bears bought some land in Chicago and had intentions to build a new stadium, which I guess I don't have a problem with. I think that it's appropriate. They need new digs, and so come to 2026, off season 2026 here now. Discussions were started, and not very many discussions had. As a matter of fact, the governor of Illinois said that's not a priority. Now, what that means in sports talk is we're not going to hand over the tax money, pay the money, and we don't feel it's a priority to have a sports team, no matter how long it's been here, be a priority to build a new stadium for. Really what that leaves us at is what happens next. Well, unsurprisingly, a state vote in the state of Indiana has said, well, we'll take the Bears. And so we now are at that crossroads where the vote has been passed, I believe, unanimously to get the Bears into Northeast Indiana. Remember, they also have Indianapolis, so the Colts. So that means that they will be another state with 2 teams if this were to continue. And honestly, I don't see an end. Don't see an end. Basketball just got past All-Star break. And of course, with most All-Star breaks, you have your legions of stories. I admit this All-Star break was probably the first All-Star break that I was actually interested in since, Kobe, since 2021, especially for competition. But even before that, since Kobe's last one, I really haven't been that interested. Most of basketball, there's just a lot of it, and none of it's really as intriguing as like football or racing to me. It's cool to see them, but there's so many games and so many ways it can end. As a matter of fact, another reason why I'm not a big fan of the NBA is that they exhaust me, especially with the way that they tend to have a apt nature for rule change. No, that's NFL. Rule changes are in NFL. No, messing up the sport. I think being the youngest sport by at least a little bit, and the way that it's played, and how mature the sport has become, or by football, by time basketball became more organized in the 60s, was already right about to merge and already very successful in its own right, and honestly had gotten a good grasp of what they needed to accomplish. The NBA's biggest problem, quote unquote, even though this is not as much of a problem in other sports because there are a lot more players involved and it's a lot harder to successfully do what the NBA does because it only takes one player to change it, is tanking. In football, you could draft a quarterback, and Titans know this, Cam Ward, number 1 overall pick, and could be the future of your franchise. But if you can't surround him with a good offensive line and talent, you're not going to get anywhere. If you don't have a defense, you're not getting anywhere. So you actually have to think about the 21 other men who do play on either side of the ball. And you do have to kind of at least have some form of, normalcy, or average level of play to be able to provide the next step up once you do get that talent. Well, the NBA's solution is by adapting and changing the rules to make it, more difficult to achieve tank. I think that these rules screw up what basketball, and it screws up the draft. It screws up a lot of things, and I believe that will cause a lot of problems for a very specific handful of teams. Matter of fact, it may have a way of messing up the league and creating parity just for the sake of parity. The first rule that they are these are all most likely going to go in this next season. Let me remember. You could only protect top 4 or top 14 plus. So basically, anywhere from 5 to 14, I believe, you cannot protect. If you trade a pick that's number 5 through number 14, and it's a lottery pick, it cannot be protected. You cannot protect those lottery picks, I guess. Which, strange, got me confused. What was the second one? I know that there was, you cannot get top 4 picks if you consecutively end in the bottom 3. Which, there are loopholes around that. Even though you don't get top 4, even if you don't end up in the bottom 3, you can just aim slightly above and get a 5th overall, which, historically, there's plenty of good 5th to about 10th overall picks. So, most recently, Luka. So, you want to play that. Teams will sit and do that as well. You cannot get a top 4 pick the year after making the conference final. Basically, the Thunder rule. They're tired of teams bending their teams over because their general managers don't understand the value of the picks that they're giving up, or understand the value of what they are giving up, or trying to get a player that may not be the best thing, like a championship winning type of player overall. And so they're trying to prevent that. The standings will freeze at the trade deadline or a later date. We'll come back to that here in a second. The odds will be based off of a 2-year time period. As you can see, I'm trying to remember these from memory, and it's a little bit difficult because they're so dumb that they melt my mind. But we'll come back, and that kind of combines into the prior topic of freezing the odds. I'll get back to that. I have a couple points to make about that. And then I believe there's 2 more. The one that I could definitely remember is that it will include all play-in teams, and all the teams will have flattened odds. So I'm going to put an asterisk to the flattened odds, because you only do that really because ultimately you're messing with the system onto which those percentages would apply. So flattening the odds only makes it to where it's tiebreaker based or standings based, pretty much. It's not, you get those odds, but those odds don't really change much. It's really more, they're trying to weigh more onto the year in and year out consistency. So my points I really wanted to hammer home here before I really started going a little bit spastic about this. At the end of the day, I think that freezing the odds somewhere halfway through the season only guarantees one thing: tanking until that point. And then even beyond that, what's the incentive to start winning after that, other than developing players that you already have? And if you already feel like your talent, or if you have a team that has proven that your talent is not going to bring them anywhere, for a lot of teams, I truly do believe that there is a big mindset of who the hell cares? If you're already into the mode of losing, you're not going to pick yourselves up after the trade deadline and say, well, I guess we'll go out and win a handful of games since we lost the first 30 games. I don't think that there's going to be that. I really don't think that that's the mentality that most of these teams go in with. I know that there are a couple of teams that maybe intentionally rest their starters, but I don't think that freezing the odds is going to help that, because even though the odds don't carry through the rest of the season, you're already in a position to where you're going to want to tank. I think you imagining that they're going to be more competitive also ignores this point. If you're going to make sure that the odds combine into 2 years, let's just remember that consistency of losing helps a lot. You're not going to continue to win if your record over 2 years, if you're going to affect your record over 2 years. So that ties into the tanking. You're going to continue to tank for as long as you can to get yourself the best odds. Well, then you got the, you cannot pick bottom 3. I mean, I guess that's fair. You're going to try and top. But at the same time, let's just say, this is a in the wind hypothetical, like a crazy hypothetical. Let's just say you have the Warriors, prime 17 Warriors, and they could not re-sign nobody. Nobody. Curry, Thompson, Kevin Durant, Draymond Green, Zaza, Pachulia, if you wanted, and no draft picks to go with. And you had the draft picks. And then the next year you flip the record. You go from 63 wins to 63 losses, and now you're even over 2 years of odds. That means your odds are capped based off of the fact that you can't go any harder, deeper than you could unless you lost every game. But then again, you would freeze those odds at a specific period of time. So you're kind of preventing these teams from properly being able to acquire the talent that they might need to be able to continue to develop or continue to progress their rebuild. There are a lot of teams that will find this specific set of rules particularly difficult to move around, and I say that because the Wizards, the Hornets, the Pelicans, the Kings historically have been poorly ran, and they don't seem to get out their own way, and they waste talent. Having them be able to pick a lot of high-end talent is because they can't develop it. You're not forcing these teams to figure out a way to develop their talent that they're going to end up potentially wasting anyways. You're just forcing these guys into a worse situation because they're not going to be able to get back to that point to where they're drafting their next superstar. And it doesn't prevent teams from superstar hunting and trading draft picks and helping them get better picks. You're just kind of fucking up everything, and you're just kind of putting your hands in the cookie jar. It sounds like you listen to too many podcasts, Adam Silver. You listened to too many podcasts, and you took the advice of everybody giving you a word in edgewise about how you should apply the tanking, because tanking is such a big problem. It's not that big of a problem. Including all play-in teams, sure. Since you're already added in the plan, you might as well let them in too, since they're borderline bums in the playoffs. Then most of them don't even play in the playoffs. But at the end of the day, I just don't feel like this is the right way to do this. It feels like it's patchwork, and it feels terrible. It really does. Now we move on from basketball to, well, actually, basketball is an interesting thing. If you look at it, you have one person that is unanimously, for a lot of people, the best of all time, the greatest, Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan these days, interesting. At the end of this last year, he was in a lawsuit with NASCAR at the end of the season, and won. Made NASCAR settle. The greatest basketball player of all time beat NASCAR, and then did it again and again, with winning the Daytona 500 last Sunday, and then this week at Echo Park, aka Atlanta Motor Speedway, again, same driver, Tyler Reddick, and same owner, Michael Jordan, majority owner, Michael Jordan. His team, 23-11. If you guys love basketball and you guys want to get into some, man, follow this 23-11 team. I think that they got a championship waiting. And to remind you, NASCAR, the point system has changed. It is no longer winning in. It is a points-based system based off of consistency. So Tyler Reddick could win these two, but if he does not consistently get in top 10 or in good positions, it all doesn't matter. So, yeah, it's going to be fun to watch. Till next time, it's James, not Freebie, and you enjoy yourself. And stay cool, stay warm, stay you. Thank you.